Weight loss is not as simple as just follow this diet or do this workout plan.
There's a lot of factors involved
Yeah.
in how you're going to progress.
If you're somebody who every time you step on the scale, there's a deep-seated emotional response that shocks your system and floods you with cortisol because you're up a half a pound today,
Yeah,
put your scale in the closet and do not pull it back out.
just come out and say it.
Sleep's the big one.
Muscle is a huge key to fat loss.
Strength training.
Yeah.
Gotta lift weights. And lifting weights is not picking up anything that is less than 15 pounds. It is so hard to break this down into 4 things, but the goal for us is to make this as simple as possible. Welcome to the Higher Form Podcast, where high performance meets real life. We talk about how to grow with intention, lead with clarity, and feel strong in every season. Welcome back to the Higher Form Podcast. Today we are talking about the 4 non-negotiables for fat loss and what actually moves the needle when you're trying to lose weight. My name is Nick.
I'm Britni.
And we're excited to come back at you with another very big topic. I think a lot of folks are chasing weight loss goals, and this is one that we personally help people with or professionally help people with a lot. So we felt like it might make sense to dive in and weed through some of what matters and what doesn't, because there's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of information on this works best or this works best. And it's like, okay, let's, as we like to say, be brilliant at the basics. Let's bring it back. Let's narrow down what is really going to give you results.
For sure. And starting with that, I think just defining what do you mean by non-negotiable? Like what does that term or phrase really mean? Let's just kind of settle that out.
I mean, I would say non-negotiable means if you're not doing these things, you're not going to see what you want to see. If you want to see the progress, you have to be doing some level of these different categories that we're going to go over.
For sure. And this is complicated. Weight loss is not as simple as just, follow this diet or do this workout plan or...
There's a lot of factors involved
yeah.
in how you're going to progress.
Yep.
Yeah.
So our goal is to really drill this down to 4 things that will legitimately and consistently move the needle to help really about anybody and everybody see sustainable fat loss. Let's kick it off.
Number 1, nutrition.
Duh.
Nutrition is forever and always going to be like one of the most important factors.
Yeah, it's funny. We had a conversation with a client that was going between a few of our coaches a couple weeks ago about how eye-opening it was that the nutrition piece was such a big component of sustainable and consistent fat loss, and how hard it can be to make eating sustainable or eating for fat loss a sustainable process. But the goal with that is really not to get too caught up in, being perfect. There's a lot of room for people to see progress without going to extremes. And I think so many different nutrition approaches for weight loss are extreme. It's cut out an entire food group and don't eat carbs. Or maybe it's, I'm not going to eat meat because I've heard that red meat's going to cause inflammation, or plant-based is more nutrient dense, or whatever it might be. All of those are extreme things. I think it's important to start with the fact that it does not have to be an extreme approach to nutrition. You can lose weight while still in moderation, enjoying some of the indulgences.
I think the consistent theme that we'll see is it's about consistency. So no matter what diet or nutritional changes you are making, it's about being consistent long enough to see what you want to see. And then if you get to a point where you're like, okay, we need to circle back, we need to change something up, something's not working, but you have to do it for a certain amount of time before you can even reevaluate, right? So I think 2 weeks is a good kind of benchmark. Like, let's do this for 2 weeks as consistently as you possibly can so we can see how it's working for you.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but the body doesn't respond in 24 hours to a change in your diet. It has to happen over a period of time consistently, like you said, for things to try to transition and start to really impact your metabolism.
Well, and because at the end of the day, calories throughout the week matters as well as calories per day too, right? Because like if you're binge eating on the weekends and then you crash diet during the weeks, like it's still your total calorie intake through a span of a week that's going to make a big difference in your consistency in your overall progress.
Yeah. So that's a really good first tip, is when you're looking at how much food you're taking in. Obviously, the quality matters as much as the quantity, and we'll talk about that too. When you look at how much food you're taking in, it needs to be looked at over a period of time that
Hmm.
is greater than a day or two or three, because of exactly what you just said. How you live a weekday or a workday may look different than a day off, which looks different than a day you're on vacation or traveling or whatever that might
Yeah.
be. So spreading out and seeing things over, like you said, like a 10 to 14 day period of time before making any serious adjustments, staying consistent with whatever that thing is going to be step number
Yeah,
one.
because like let's say during the weekday, you're good about getting all your protein in, you have balanced meals because you're a little bit more organized and you're structured. But then on the weekends, you're like, well, I had a massive brunch and then we went out for dinner. And like your total calorie count was off, your macro breakdown was off, whether you're tracking or not, your intake wasn't consistent. And if you do that for 3 days in a row and then you're on it for 4 days in a row. Like it's just inconsistent in terms of the long game, the overall outcome that you
Yeah.
want. Yeah.
Well, let's even make it more clear and simple. Macros, protein, carbs, fats, alcohol, kind of the hidden
I mean, it's has
calorie
calories to it. Yeah.
macro category, whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's why we generally recommend limiting alcohol. That's not really one of the things that we'll talk about quite yet, but that falls into one of the other sections that we'll discuss. When you look at those three macros, the one that is key to pay the most attention to and really zero in on, at least out of the gate, is protein.
Because you want to be able to sustain as much muscle mass as possible while in a fat loss phase. So you need to be eating enough protein to hold on to as much as you can. Because if you're in a fat loss phase, your calories do need to be slightly decreased,
Correct.
right?
Right?
So protein.
So protein and then calorie awareness, how much you decide you want fats versus how much you want to take in carbs. I think a lot of that stuff is really dependent on the individual. It's going to have a lot to do with how you're training, the type of exercise you're doing, the amount of activity you're getting on a regular basis. Sometimes people respond worse to higher amounts of fat or worse to higher amounts of carbs. Say, for example, your body,
Digestibility, like,
yeah,
yeah.
say, for example, your body doesn't regulate blood sugar very well. Maybe it's a family history thing, maybe it's a lifestyle induced thing, but if you don't handle carbohydrates well in regards to blood sugar maintenance, obviously being able to manage your blood sugar with more complex carbs, things higher in fiber, like obviously we get into all the details, but I think on a really simple scale or explanation, it's protein first, prioritize that.
Every meal should
Every
have a
single meal gets
form
some
of
source of
protein.
protein, correct? Every single snack gets some source of protein. Right before this, I had a little like juice smoothie that we got from Costco.
Yeah.
It's got 25 grams of carbs in it. So I'm like, man, I really want to drink this right now. It sounds delicious, but I need some protein with that. So I ate Greek yogurt and a chomp stick with it.
Yeah.
So there's an example of a snack, right?
Yeah.
And with meals, it can be any source of protein that makes sense, right? And I think that it's easy to get caught up in like, well, I can't have this kind of protein, or I can't have this, or I shouldn't have this. To keep it as simple as possible, prioritize protein and then be aware of your calories.
Yeah.
And calorie awareness comes down to a lot more than just how much are you eating, but what kinds of calories are you eating. Uh, Very common mistake is people come in and say, hey, you know what? I've carbs make me fat. I'm not going to have a bunch of carbs. So they go pick a bunch of healthy fats and then all of a sudden they're way over on calories because they're more dense per gram of food and calories, where maybe if you like cut down on that and you do actually incorporate some carbs, or the other end of it where it's like, hey, I want to keep my calories low, so I'm going to avoid fats. There's a pro and a con to each side of leaning
Yeah.
into
And I,
those.
I think not only how you're breaking down your carbs and your fats matter, because of course there's so many different scenarios and how you can adjust and what makes the most sense for each person. But like we said, quality, the quality of food. If you're getting your protein in, but it's from a protein shake, a protein bar,
Yes.
protein chips, you know what I mean? Like just all these like processed forms of proteins. You're like, well, I'm getting my protein in. I'm like, okay, but like
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods, you're missing out on the nutrients involved in just like every single body process when you're getting it through a protein shake every single time, or twice a day, or 3 times a day, or whatever you're doing.
Well, yeah, like you said, the amount of ingredients in those things because they're processed is a lot harder for your body to break down.
It's like, okay, so you go to Costco and that Premier protein shake is
Yep.
super popular. People love it. There's like a coffee flavored one. I saw this. when I was at my previous workspace,
Hmm.
people would rely on those things and they would drink them every single day, maybe twice a day. But if you look at the ingredient list, there's literally like 25 ingredients in there. And I'm like, that's so unnecessary. You could get a powdered protein that has like maybe 4 ingredients in it
Hmm.
and then mix it with water yourself, and you're better off than
Or
getting a
milk or whatever,
or milk or whatever, but you're better off than getting a pre-mixed thing that has like 25 ingredients that you literally don't even know what they are, but yet you're drinking 2 of them every single day. It's unnecessary.
Yeah, and you can make the argument about convenience, but I think that there's a counter argument to that is there's not a whole lot more convenience from shaking and opening a bottle to putting water in a shaker, pouring some powder in there, and then shaking and consuming. You're
Yeah,
talking about an extra 2 minutes maybe,
not even, right?
for a heck of a lot better quality. So if you are going to do protein powders, big takeaway on this is try to do, or sorry, protein supplements, try to do powders with basic fluids. That way you can minimize the amount of ingredients due
And
to the,
calorie
yeah,
additions.
due to
Yeah,
the nature of it being a more processed protein.
already. Yeah.
So simply prioritize protein, make sure that you're picking good quality sources of food,
Yeah.
and then test out every 10 to 14 days, leaning a little bit more towards carbohydrate biased or fat biased. Make sure that you figure out what makes the most sense based on your workout plan,
And just your total intake, whether,
how
right,
your body
getting,
digests these things,
yeah.
track your weight as you go through that, track your macros if you really want to. I think those it's good as a short-term tool to be able to calibrate, what makes the most sense. I don't think you have to track forever, but say for example,
Tracking is a tool, right? We
yep,
always say you don't need to track forever, but I do think you, especially if you have a very specific goal, you're gonna have to have a specific calorie intake. So you're gonna need a track to see how am I supposed to get
for
that.
sure. But that could be like 3 days, and then you repeat that same 3 days for about a week or two, and then when you make an adjustment, track again for another few days, calibrate what makes sense, get
Yeah.
your totals and your targets right, and then go from there. So
Yeah.
it
Yep.
doesn't have to be every meal, every snack, all the time. Obviously, there's a time and a place for those things. Another big one for nutrition in that same category would be hydration. I think that's something that is often overlooked, how water and electrolytes can play a role in fat loss.
It's actually being in this industry, it's actually been baffling the last 5 to 10 years how little people drink water.
I suck at drinking water.
You are getting better,
I'm better, but
but
I'm
like
not.
some people drink like maybe a bottle a day,
Yeah,
if that,
yeah.
which is like 16 ounces. And I'm like, what? How do you function? And
On
they're
other
not.
fluids.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily hydrating your system appropriately,
I'm on
right?
the same
And
team
it's
you are.
funny,
I'm
and
just
one,
saying, yeah.
I know. And once you do drink more, you recognize, wow, I do feel better. I have more energy. I'm hydrated. My cells are able to move about my body without feeling all bogged down,
Hmm.
right? So it's so funny how, I don't know, I guess I grew up with a, health conscious mom who,
Your mom was a health and PE teacher and volleyball coach,
for
so
like
you got
35 years.
hounded
So
about drinking water. Yeah,
she was always like, drink your water, drink your water. So it just came natural for me to just drink a lot of water all the
yeah.
time. And I didn't realize that until I was older that not everybody drinks water like I do.
See, that's where I come in because I need flavor. Like I just get bored of drinking water a lot of
See,
times,
like,
unless I just got done with a hard workout or I just got done sitting in the sauna. I find that on those days, or if I get up and I work out in the morning, I typically drink more water. So if you got to find a way to hack yourself into just wanting or desiring more water. Get your sweat in earlier in the day. Set a timer on your phone to say I need to drink a certain amount by a certain time. I like coffee and electrolyte drinks and other things, so I'll try to alternate. Like after I drink my coffee, I can't have anything else to drink until I finish a bottle of water. Then maybe I can have that like fruit smoothie drink or whatever it might be. But
yeah, or your like electrolyte
yep,
replacement or something. But I think it's just finding, what do we say? You can Google the recommendation, which is like half your body ounces in water, half
half
your
your
body
body
weight
weight.
in ounces of water. But that's just like daily bare minimum. So if you're an active person, you need more than that. If you're sweating like crazy, you absolutely need more than that. So I think in general, people are still just like not drinking enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not just drinking water, but also replacing electrolytes.
totally. We're all about electrolytes, especially for people who sweat, hot days. Think about it, electrolytes go in and hydrate your body. So then when you drink water, you're able to uptake that water and it's getting utilized appropriately. So not only do you need to drink water, but you do need to have some sort of electrolyte replacement. Now you get salts, especially if you like sprinkle sea salts on your food
Hmm.
or something. Like, it's not that you're not getting them throughout your food throughout the day too. But again, it just kind of depends on your activity levels and how much you're sweating, how much you need to be replacing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think it's important too to understand, where does weight loss even happen? Like, where are you losing the weight? Well, you're losing it in sweat. You're losing it in going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You're losing it in breathing, because it's not just dry air that comes out. It's moisturized air from the water inside your body, or fluids inside your
Yeah.
body. So you got to replace those things too, to help flush out toxins that are stored in fat cells after those are burned.
Yeah.
So it just helps with really more or less just cleansing
Yeah.
as you burn fat, right?
Keeping your system flushing regularly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's common, you see, we've had clients before many, many times where they almost hit a plateau because they're not hydrating enough to be able to flush out some of the toxins in their body
Yeah.
from when they have maybe hit a plateau after they've seen some weight loss or seen some changes in that.
So drink water. Make sure your calories are in check, your total calories in. Obviously, the breakdown of, your macros are important too.
But keep it simple. So I think it's number one, try to get somewhere around zero point 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight of protein in per day. So if I weigh 200 pounds, that's going to be anywhere from about 160 to 220, 240 grams of protein, which is a very large range.
Well, and it also, again, depends on your goal and your activity levels where your protein needs to fall within that range.
Simplest. Keep it simple. Stay in the range. Hit the bare minimum. See where you're at now. If you're not getting 150 grams and you need your 200 pounds, get 160. Like, aim to get to the base. Once again, the goal of this is not to get too into the, well, you could do this and you could do that, because we could sit here and talk about this for hours.
Yeah, yeah.
It's, what are the non-negotiables? What are the simple things? It's prioritize your protein. Make sure you're getting a general amount of calories based on where you need to be. You can find calorie calculators all over the place
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
Try it for 10 to 14 days. Figure out what fat and carb mix and styles of quality, nutrient dense whole foods make sense for you. Drink your water, get your electrolytes, and stay consistent.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be days where it doesn't make sense, but it's not the day that counts. It's the week or the 2 weeks
Yeah.
that you're looking at things. And if you can say, hey, I'm on track 80% of the time, 90% of the time, you got to live a little bit. So
Yeah, for sure. Yep. That's a simple way to round it out. Number 2.
strength training and movement. Obviously, these are key. These, another duh. If you think about these first two, nutrition is obvious. Strength training and movement is obvious. I think this is the sexier thing people like to do for weight loss, is go work out and push themselves and
Yeah.
sweat. But I think it is very important to talk about the styles of exercise that are going to be more valuable for long-term success with weight loss.
Just come out and say it.
Strength training. You
Yeah.
gotta lift weights.
Yeah.
And lifting weights is not picking up anything that is less than 15 pounds. You hear people all the time, especially middle-aged women, sorry, but notorious for being like, oh, I strength train, I lift weights. I'm like, okay, well, what is lifting weights to you? And they're like, well, I use some dumbbells. I'm like, all right, cool. What is the size of the dumbbell you use? And they're like, well, like 8s, 15s. I'm like, that's not lifting weights. That's moving around a little bit of weight. But lifting weights is progressively overloading and lifting things that are relatively heavy to the individual. So if you're,
Challenging yourself. You're
yeah,
not just saying, I'm doing 12 to 15 reps of, curls or shoulder presses or whatever at
yep,
10 pounds. And it's like, well, that's not stimulating the muscle change that you need.
you have to your point, stimulate a certain response for your body to go through, right? You have to challenge it to a level that is going to break down the muscle fibers
Yeah.
and challenge your nervous system and help your metabolism and muscles come back and recover and build stronger. And that metabolic effect, or that thermogenic effect of the heat that it produces within your body, will burn more calories, not just like, not necessarily in the moment, because you could do a really hard cardio workout that would burn more calories in an hour.
But the more muscle you have on your body, the more
Correct.
calories you're naturally just burning per day.
Yep.
So muscle is a huge key.
King or
yeah,
queen.
yeah, a huge key to fat loss.
Lifting weights is going to protect the muscle too. And this is where it goes back to like meshing in with the protein thing.
Yeah.
If you're eating enough protein, you're lifting weights. If you're in a calorie deficit, which to lose weight you will naturally have to be,
Yeah.
you're going to run the risk of losing muscle mass if you're not getting enough protein or actually training those muscles.
Correct.
So it's important to make sure that you're stimulating them and feeding them appropriately. It's where the protein thing comes back around.
Yeah.
You have to train the right way to get the muscles to maintain or build, but you also have to nourish and feed and recover from that
Refuel. Yeah.
perspective as well.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, you can do cardio to help improve with weight loss, but the amount of calories you burn in that hour is not the only indicator for success, because an hour of hard cardio may burn more calories than an hour of weightlifting, but for the 36 hours after, you have the, oh my goodness, I'm blanking out on what it's called.
It's like thermogenic effect. Like, what
Yeah,
do you?
EPOC, exercise post-oxygen consumption.
Yeah.
You're going to be demanding more from your body through the recovery phase in that first 72 hours, that acute period of time,
Yeah.
after a strength training workout than you will if you're doing a cardiovascular workout. So you actually burn more calories over the 3-day window.
Yeah.
And to your point, when you're building and stimulating and maintaining more muscle mass, naturally it's more demanding for your body. You need more energy,
Yeah.
and calories are a form of
You
energy.
can generally eat
You can
more
generally
if
eat
you're
more.
strength training.
Correct.
Yeah.
So nothing is worse than like starving yourself and doing a shitload of cardio.
Yeah.
You can actually eat a decent amount of food and still weightlift and not feel wiped out, but actually energized after your
Yeah.
workout.
Yeah.
So I think that's another one too, where it's like, yes, cardio is necessary, but a lot of times the cardio you need to really improve weight loss results is closer to daily movement than it is what most people would consider traditional cardio.
For sure. And so, I mean, that goes to just like steps, just like movement, right? Most people are working at a desk, or they sit a lot, or they're in a car or whatever, and you're not moving the body enough. Now you can go into the whole step count, whatever, but like the more you're moving, the better. So if you're getting like 2,000 steps a day, like you got to move more.
Yep.
Straight up. It's as simple as that. Like you need to move.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where having some type of activity monitor can be helpful. You can get apps on your phone. You can integrate it throughout the course of your day. You don't even have to have an activity monitor to track it. If you walk a mile, give or take, that's 1,500 to 2,000 steps for most people, depending on your stride length.
Yeah.
So a mile walk should take someone 15 to 20 minutes,
Yeah.
depending on how fast you walk. If I do a 15 to 20 minute walk 3 times a day, or one long one, or whatever, you can look at it from a time basis. You could get in 6,000 steps by doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
or it can be a 5-minute walk every hour. I know there are a lot of studies around productivity in the workplace improving when you work in like 50 on, 10 off spurts. So you could go 50 minutes at work, set an alarm, go for a 5-minute walk, take a deep breath for 5 minutes, get back into it. You do that 8 hours, that's 40 minutes of walking throughout the course of the day
Yeah.
in 5-minute chunks. That ends up being over 2 miles. That's probably almost 4,000, 5,000 steps.
Yeah. Easy. It's just a matter of being more conscious of it and working it into your day.
Yeah, I think that's the tough part with all this stuff. It's funny, you were just talking with somebody yesterday about some of the different things that we do that are maybe just more like detailed fine tuning you can do for healthier living.
Optimizing in our personal life, things at home,
And the,
lotions we use, right? Like
but the question
products.
is like, how do you keep up with all this? And it's the same question that you get for anyone who has not done any of this.
Yeah.
You don't start with all of it at once. You pick
Yeah.
one thing at a time and you start to build it up.
Yeah.
So the basics on this is, if you're not getting 7,000 steps a day and you're not strength training for at least 30 minutes 3 times a week, that's where you start.
Yeah.
And
Those are
don't
the
worry about
basics.
any extra cardio. Don't go kill yourself in the gym. Pick up weights safely and functionally, strength train, and move. It's really that simple.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a easy one that not a lot of people are going to argue with.
And I get it can be hard to decide like what kind of strength training, 'cause there's so many different types of, modalities out there. Should I be bodybuilding or powerlifting or using machines or free weights?
Yeah.
Best bang for your buck is going to be free weights, as long as you can do it safely. Pick exercises that make sense for you, but if all you have access to is machines in an apartment gym or a
Like
big
you can
box
still
gym,
see progress. You just,
for sure.
yeah.
For sure. It may not be
Some,
optimal for performance in regards to the way you move, but the goal right now is to talk about weight loss.
yeah.
And it just needs to be stimulating the muscle with a heavy enough weight that you can safely push yourself beyond, that 5-pound dumbbell.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Number 3, lifestyle factors.
Which is what? What kind of lifestyle? What about my lifestyle?
Sleep's the big one. Yeah, that's the one that
And that's the hardest one
it's
for
tough.
a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, probably one of the toughest ones, especially when you have responsibilities that eat into your sleep. Some people big part of making your living is working night shifts because you make more money typically working overnights.
Yeah.
I think like healthcare or,
Yeah.
like
First
factory
responders
first responders,
of any
factory
sort,
workers,
factory workers. Yeah.
industrial jobs.
Yeah.
But there are ways to make that work. You just have to be more strategic and you got to be more intentional about it. Maybe your sleep isn't going to be the perfect 8 hours of sleep that everybody gets per night, but we usually lean on like 7 being kind of a bare minimum for optimal functioning
Yeah.
and optimal health and weight loss. Why sleep? Because that is when your body is resting, recovering, regenerating. A lot of hormone balance and
Regulating. Yeah.
regulating happens in that time frame.
Yeah.
A big one for weight loss is the leptin and ghrelin hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your hunger and satiety hormones. Leptin, I always remember because ghrelin is grr, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That was something I learned
How you remembered
in a
it from
class, but
school.
yeah, shout out to whoever the teacher was that taught that because it stuck. But if you aren't sleeping, your metabolic and hunger hormones are not going to be regulated.
Well, and if you think about it,
So your
usually,
appetite's going to be jacked.
yeah, like when you're more sleep deprived, you're usually more snacky
Yeah.
that day. You feel like, your blood sugar's messing around with you a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm lower on sleep, I typically want things that are higher in sugar or carbs.
Yeah.
At least that's what I tend to
Processed.
crave.
Yeah.
More processed, things that are hyper palatable,
Yeah.
things that taste good but leave me feeling empty.
Yeah.
Just keep snacking on. But yeah, I mean, if you're not getting enough rest to recover from the training you're doing or just the stress of life,
Yeah.
regardless of how hard you're training, you're not going to be able to naturally regulate those hormones. So I think the big one with sleep is regulating appetite hormones, but obviously your metabolic hormones, your sex hormones, your thyroid, all those different things too.
All of them.
All the hormones.
All the hormones
Yeah.
and muscle recovery, right?
Yeah.
So you can get the biggest benefit from the work that you're doing,
Correct.
right?
Plus the energy to be able to turn around and train the way you need to stimulate that strength training response we were talking about. Along with sleep is stress management. That's another big one, another big lifestyle factor. And I think that this is one that is also relatively tough to tackle too because life is stressful, especially the world we live in today. Everything's very fast paced.
Yeah.
We don't live a simple life the way that we would have and did 20, 30 years ago, even 10 years ago. Things are different.
Yeah.
We have accessibility to everything at our fingertips now, which makes it hard to completely check out and be
Yeah.
stress free. We're always connected. That's the thing I personally struggle with the most. And I think that I can understand where people have a hard time is just like completely disconnecting is difficult in today's day and age. And if you can never disconnect and really turn inward and focus on, what you need to manage your own mental health and stress, you may tolerate it well, but that doesn't mean that it's a good thing for you and that you're going to be in the best position to optimize your health or weight loss.
Yeah. So sleep and stress management, I mean, whether that's stretching before you go to bed to decompress your mind and your brain, so you can go to bed calm and not just be like wandering, thinking about everything. You just have to find ways to decompress your system. Couple of ways: stretching before bed, taking a hot bath, maybe going for a walk around the neighborhood without your phone or something.
I've always struggled with the forms of meditation that didn't incorporate something physical because I just don't
Like
sit
doing
still
physical things.
very well. Well, no, I just don't sit still very well.
Yeah, I
Um,
do. I sit still pretty good.
but I think it's one of those things where if I, like you said, if I can have something that's a full body and mind sensory experience, that
Yeah.
helps. So that could be like, if I am going to meditate, try to incorporate some type of like essential oils, incense, or be in a hot bath, or do
Yeah.
some stretching, or go on a walk,
Yeah.
or be out in nature. I think that's one of the things that's the best opportunities, depending on where you live. That's not always the easiest thing to do, but
Yeah.
everybody's access to parks. You can get out and plug some headphones in and put a
Yeah.
decompressing playlist on, or
Yeah, Calm app or whatever
yeah.
people use. Yeah.
But finding ways to be able to decrease stress, like sauna, we have the sauna here.
Yeah.
Any type of recovery therapies are obviously very helpful too.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
But all those things come down to like daily structure and your habits around it.
What are you doing throughout the day to manage your stress or manage your
Sleep.
sleep? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's easy to sit here and talk about how important these things are, but putting them into practice is the ultimate challenge.
Again, this goes back to you're not trying to do all of these things at once. You
Yep.
just have to pick something like, okay, I'm going to start focusing on this. I'm going to incorporate this. I'm going to add this and do it until you're like, okay, cool. That's becoming natural now or habitual or second nature.
Yeah. So, for example, you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, man, I could be better about my nutrition, that's your first daily habit. Pick on that. And if you're not exercising 3 days a week, doing strength training, pick on that.
Yeah.
If maybe you're doing okay in one or two of those categories, then maybe it's, hey, let's zero in on my sleep. But to your point, we're not going to move the needle in all categories at once. It's looking at, okay, what's the lowest hanging fruit here? What's the easiest thing for me to adjust? Picking that one, two, maximum three things to focus on at once, because like we said, there's already enough stuff going on.
Yeah.
Most people don't have the capacity to change more than two or three things at once. And some people only one, which is totally fair. But you want to be able to pick something measurable and simple and then apply that for, like we said, 10 to 14 days,
Yeah.
reevaluate and go from there.
Yeah.
Now, I know that may not be sexy because it yields slower progress, but what's better? Fast progress that doesn't stick or slow progress that sticks around? Because when you look at it at the end of the day and you zoom out over a scale of time, 90 days to 6 months to a year down the road, you're probably going to be a hell of a lot further with something sustainable than going in and out of yo-yoing with all these different types of
Well, and even
programs
if
that
you
are
have
short-term fixes.
a specific weight loss goal by a specific time, you still want that slow, sustainable progress, especially in terms of how you're living your life and your lifestyle habits, because you want to keep those for the long game, because it's about optimizing and longevity of your health, right?
Yeah,
Just because you have a fat loss goal doesn't mean that these things don't carry over after you hit your goal.
for sure. And I think that it's also important to call out that doing something to shorten your window of opportunity to see results is more stressful on your body than going through and doing something slow and sustainably. And that's part of managing stress too, is not going in too heavy and too extreme on any of these things.
Yeah.
Not being in the gym 6 days a week, not starving yourself, doing a bunch of extra cardio,
Yeah.
limiting yourself from some of the things that allow you to be able to create that balance so you can stay on track, trying to be 100% on your nutrition. And then when you can't do it, being so upset with yourself that you go completely off the rails.
Yeah.
It's all about balance too. And you got to be able
Consistent
to
efforts.
find those consistent efforts, but also let yourself live a little bit and give yourself grace, because that ain't going to be perfect.
Yeah, for
You know?
sure. Yeah.
Number 4.
Accountability and tracking.
Okay.
Having a accountability team, partner, a community, a spouse, a friend who's knows that you're working on this, who you can lean on when you're frustrated or have questions or just need a cheerleader or support. I think that's important in today's day and age. We're all looking for community and social connection. So having somebody who's aware of the goals that you're working towards right now to help you, whether that's mentally or physically, I think that's important.
Yeah. Well, we just talked about how easy it is to sabotage progress when things don't go perfectly.
Yeah.
And really bringing all three of what we just talked about together, the train smart, eat well, live fit, the nutrition, the training, the lifestyle side of it can be really difficult to do,
Yeah.
because while we've broken it down into these non-negotiables, those are 4 things you have to have. But in order to keep those first 3 rolling, you have to have a system of support
Yeah.
when it doesn't go as smooth as maybe you wanted to, or maybe you
Or you get
feel like you're
stuck.
veering off or you get stuck.
Yeah.
And that can look so different. To your point, I think the first thing is who you live with has to know,
Yeah,
and they have to be on board.
we were talking about this the other day, is your spouse or partner or roommates or whatever, it's more importantly your spouse or your partner, if they're not supportive of your goal, that's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard.
The biggest decision you can make that will, in my opinion, or our opinion, most likely influence your success is the person that you decide to spend the rest of your life with. Because if they are not on board and they do not want to live this lifestyle, they don't want to eat the way you do, they don't give a damn about exercising, it's going to make it really hard for you to make that a priority in your life,
Yeah.
because you're going to be fighting against the grain forever.
Yeah.
And if you have these goals and these things you want to accomplish, and you have to fight against the person who's supposed to be there helping you through it, or supposed to be supporting you through it,
That's going to be tough.
it's going to be real hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having a team or close person to you help you.
Obviously, we're biased to coaching because it's what we do for a living, but we invest in coaches as well. We've said that many times before.
Yeah.
If you don't have support structure in your personal life, it is even more important for you then to have a coach, so you can create and invest in an environment of people that
Yeah.
are going to help create that influence for you to lead you down the right path. Because if you're going to be combating it every day at home or every day at work or whatever
Yeah.
environment you spend your time in the most, you don't have the support there, you're going to need a coach to help you overcome that even more so than if you did have that support at home.
Yeah,
If you have the
definitely.
support at home, your wife is fit, she works out, she eats well, it's like, all right, I'm going to have a hard time not following suit there,
Yeah.
or husband or whatever. That's not as big of a deal. And of course, you could still benefit from having a coach.
Yeah.
But if you don't have those influences and support, man, coach is almost a necessity at that point in time because
Yeah.
you have to have somebody helping you overcome that major challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we talked about tracking a little bit too. And I think that it's more about tracking progress than it is about obsessing. You can get lost in data and you can get super hyper focused on
The
the
scale
scale
or
or all these numbers, and there's so much opportunity for data collection now. It's a blessing and a curse
yeah.
depending on how well you respond to it. So it's setting healthy boundaries around what is realistic and acceptable for you to check in on.
And parameters of how often you're checking in on them, right?
Correct. And it's going to look different for every person because some people will do well in a fat loss phase, weighing themselves every day, as long as they can understand the reality that it's not going to be a straight line of every day my weight goes down.
Yeah.
But if you can zoom out, like we talked about, and you have more data points, that's actually going to help more. But if you're somebody who every time you step on the scale, there's a like deep-seated emotional response that shocks your system and floods you with cortisol because you're up a half a pound today,
Yeah.
put your scale in the closet and do not pull it back out for 2 weeks.
Another way we like to look at progress, especially if you're in a fat loss phase and you're looking for a physical change, right? Not just like a performance change, is pictures. And people
Yep.
underestimate taking pictures of yourself in the mirror or set your camera up in front of some natural lighting. But like looking at your picture on day 1 to week 4 or something, like 1 month later or two
Yeah, I
weeks
like
later,
6 weeks. I feel like that's a good time frame.
30 days,
30
6
days,
weeks,
6 weeks,
something
yeah.
like that, is so, because you see your body every single day. So you just don't always see the like little things that are changing. But when you put a picture side by side, you're just like, oh wow, I do look different. I
Yep.
didn't even notice that,
Yep.
right? Especially especially when you're going through a fat loss phase.
Yep. I think it's important to find that balance of accountability too, because I could sit there and say like, put your scale in the closet. At the same time, if you only check every 2 weeks and that gives you more flexibility to not be accountable to the things you're putting in your body or the actions you have, that might actually be a bad thing. So it
Well,
might
that's
just be
only
a
gonna
mental reset, you know?
yeah, yeah. I think everybody has different boundaries with how they're going to respond. It just depends on the person, and you have to be honest with yourself and know what works for you and what doesn't, right? I've been, I've coached people who were like, I don't even want to see the scale. They're like, I'll get on the scale so you can see how things are going so we can make adjustments as we need to, but I don't want to see the number on the scale. So I would just like not show them, and then it's like, okay, well, I can see what's going on as the coach, so I can see where we're at and where we need to
So what do
adjust.
you say in that situation to that person? You're up, you're down, you're good, you're bad.
I guess it just depends. I think it was more so like, okay, I've got this information now. You try not to give a response because they don't want one. They don't want to know whether they're up or they're down
Yeah, but let's say that
necessarily.
person needs redirected.
Well, then that's what you would talk about. Like, okay, so based off of what I'm seeing here, I think we need to do X, Y, or Z, or we need to adjust
I
here.
think that's so tough because
It is
that,
tough, but I'm saying there's different people who
yeah,
have different. That's what I'm saying. You have to be honest with yourself. Are you someone who can look at the scale? Are you someone who's like, I don't even want to know the scale. I just want my coach to tell me what to do, right? They want someone else to take the
yeah,
reins for them.
yeah. And I think that's where that like balance of accountability and tracking is difficult. And
Yeah.
when you start to look back and we recap everything we've talked about, it is so hard to break this down into four things, but the goal for us is to make this as simple as possible. You have to look at every category as something that you don't get too lost in because it will be very easy to start to get overwhelmed with, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this?
They're all important categories, but there's so many things inside each one. So
Yep.
you have to just start small, do the basics, and then you can continue to get granular as time goes on as you need to.
We're going to try to run this back and give you the four non-negotiables one more time, as quick hit as we can, and make sure that we give you the tangible things that you can take away because, like we said, it can get really confusing. So we'll
Yeah.
try to simplify it as much as possible. Non-negotiable number one,
Nutrition.
that means prioritize protein. Get at least 0.8 grams per 1 pound of body weight that you have.
Yes.
Under that, also make sure you get plenty of fluids in your body, preferably more water than not,
Yeah.
with some electrolytes worked in there, and focus on consistency over perfection.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Strength training and movement.
This one is going to be focused on making sure that you are prioritizing strength over cardio. That is going to help give you more bang for your buck in the workout itself, the immediate post-workout, and having more muscle burns more calories, which means you can eat more and lose weight.
Yep.
Remember that daily movement's going to be a big piece of that too. So instead of focusing on a bunch of high intensity cardio, put your effort into your strength workouts and get lots of steps.
Yeah.
Number 3,
Lifestyle.
sleep matters because it's where you regulate all your hormones.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure that you're in a position where you're giving your body a chance to recover and regenerate, so you get the energy to attack the next day, but also recover from the one before. And then stress management, whatever you got to do to keep your head on straight. That mind-body connection is going to be a big one as well. And then just finding ways to create some daily structure and habits around those things.
Yeah. Yep.
Number 4,
Accountability and tracking.
the people and the environments you put yourself in matter more than about anything else.
Yeah.
Because if you're not in the right environment and you're not influenced by the right people, those first 3 things are going to be near impossible to do.
Yeah.
So if you want to be able to have success in your nutrition, you want success in your training and movement and your lifestyle factors, put yourself around the right people. Find a way of tracking progress. Don't adjust by the day. Adjust every 2 weeks. Track progress every 2 to 4 weeks. But do what's going to make sense to make it sustainable for you to be able to measure out progress, but live a little bit in the process because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, cool. This will be the first of a couple series. We'll come back around in the future and hit non-negotiables for building strength and for longevity as well. But these are the things that move the needle with fat loss. And as always, if you have questions about this stuff, feel free to hit us up. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard and want to hear more, you can follow us on social media and tune in anywhere you listen to podcasts.